Hey, people. In ancient Egypt, to give birth, it was messy. And not just children. They'll use the same word if you was giving birth to a city, in creation of the city. It's messy. But in all the ancient language, the children were suckers. And when you have children, when you give birth to children, it's some messy suckers. And so this is the fifth time I made this movie. I'm having problems in compressing it. It's not wanting to catch the edges right, especially on this Wiktionary page of the Latin word for children, of philus. And they say this phile comes from the ancient word before Latin, Indo-European, way back then. It means to suck, a sucker. So that would be a pedophile would be a foot sucker. But I was reading and I noticed that all the words in the Hebrew, the Greek, and the Latin, they all mean sucker for children. You can see it here with Akhenaten kissing the new baby. And the baby's pointing right at it, the mess. And so the mess is to give birth, and most is the work. And if something's most messy, that's the works of creation, the works of birth. Don't matter if it was a child or a city. I caught this in Genesis 3 where he's scolding the woman, where it's the titsa-tessin, the tits and nursing on, a delicatessen, where you're eating. You will bear children. And this word for multiplying, they got it confused. Multiplying and fill and multiply, they got the words backwards. This is pleating. Pleating goes with complete. It's a fill level. This is filling. And with a ginus size, a pleating on, to fill on, a pleating at as, a lip as you. And so sailors was the first one to figure it out, but all around the world, it don't matter what language you speak, when a woman wants something she's not getting it, she'll poke her bottom lip out. It's the base word for plead, please. It was one of Jacob's wives' maid servants. Just Google the pleading lip. It's ancient knowledge. This is how girls get what they want. With the ginus eyes, E-I-S-E, that reads, other eye. The ginus eyes, pleatin', to fill on. A pleatin' on pleading, it has lip was you. The double S, this is reading as a U, has lip. The pleading lip has you. When you're in distress, you give them the pleading lip. Oh, please. And what of's it? And what of's it? The second S reading is an I here. And what of's it in agamus? You in lieu pays titsa-tessin. What of's it in agamus? Agamus, monogamous is having sexual relations with one partner at a time. And so mono is where that one's coming from. Agamus means sexual relations. What of's it in agamus? You in lieu pays titsa-tessin. In lieu is a legal term, and I'm not too sure. There's two different definitions. In legal, they'll say it's in with of, and you will get this and this too, in lieu. But I think it means more in place of. If you do this in lieu, this is what lieu pays, the titsa-tessin. With ginus size, pleading on it as lip has you. What of's it in agamus? You in lieu pays titsa-tessin. And forced on, andras of. Forced on is prostin, something, a product you're trying to push, the big red lips, and prostin, andras of. The apostrophes of. Apostrophe means to turn around. And so reading it forward, it means have as a trophies of. And when you read it backwards, it's the double H, it's the high, and the QORT is the court, the high court, a high court's a pass, OPAS of. The high court's a pass of. That's all you gotta do as stick that please lip out there, and you can turn around a decision, apostrophes of the high courts of passive. In ought is you a cure who's they. In ought, that's ought to cure you. In ought is you cure who's they. This ought to learn you, darn you. I'll just knock you up. With Gina sighs, pleatin' on pleadin' it, as the lip as you, what of's it in agamus you, in lieu pays teats a tessin, and prostin andras of, have as trophies of, and autas you cure who's they. The cure is the word for the Lord, Kuri, and autas you, Lord who's they. And in the Latin, that's indole repairs of Phyllis. In dole is anything the government's dishing out to you, welfare, in dole, what you've been given, and given a repair is Phyllis. In lieu pays, in with pays. And in the Hebrew, this word is benum. So I wanted to look closer into that. So I went to my program at my old Torah and just put in the letters BN, the base word for son. And it comes up 2,043 times just in the Torah. And the first time it comes up is in Genesis 2. And this is where they say, and the bdellium stone is good there, end a ben, let's say, as a stone. And I'll look at this in the Latin and the Greek side by side closer in a minute. But the second place it comes up is after God took this rib and he fashioned it into Eve, and why ben, and built. He built her. There's only three ways ben comes up. It's either son, or rock, or built. And then the third time's in Genesis 3 when he's cussing Eve for what she had did, and benum, and that's the word for children. That's the first time it comes up as children. And the next time you see it come up in Genesis 4, but not in the story of Cain and Abel, those weren't sons. She called him Cain and said, for I have gotten a man from God. And I don't remember what they called evil, but it actually just says, and what spell did attach it. Those weren't sons. That was a man from God and a spell to attach it. Names of the Lord's. And son doesn't come up down here till, actually this is and built the city of Ben-Hur. Ben built the city, Ben-Hur. And yea, Ben-Hur. And let be built the city. And let be called the name of the city as the name, a chasm ben which nuck. The chasm ben which nuck. And as the name of the son of Enoch. But the first son actually born in the Bible was the son Set. And it was the son, Ben what calls him a Set. This is why I do Adam of dat ass, D-A-T, dat ass too. And who do have him a dat ass too? What led Ben? And led Ben what cry at some must see. M-U-S-T, a must see. C-I. You gotta see this sunset. What cry at must see. So the first time it comes up, there's a river runs around the garden, and from there it splits to four headwaters. The name of the first is Pisson. It winds through the whole land, each while assures is using. That's what gold is for. It's the is of using. And abusing hearts hit it of some. A hit it of some. The bed led of inism. The bed led of inism. How to get in her bed. And abusing hearts, and the double E, is a H-I, and the V-A is a T-E or a D-E. hit that stuff, and hit it of some the bad let of in ism. And then in the Greek, it's a docher was jaundice gis. A docher is something, the T is the D and the D is the T. It's a dote. It's something given, to cure. And a docher, the cure is your enemy. That's the thing holds her knees together. That's the thing you want to cure. You want to make it happy. And so a docher, is to help relax her knees. A docher was a jaundice gis. A jaundice, the yellow earth, the gold, to cure. And a docher was a jaundice gis. The lane is call on. And so he's saying, that your gold is good here. The lane is call on, and the layest in of on tracks. She come over and give you some ass is good. That is good. The hit it of, give you some ass, and then she will leave, and layest in on tracks, and leaves. And of light as, appraising as, and it's cheap too. It's worth a whole lot more than what she's charging, and of light as, appraising as, a bargain. He's telling you where your gold's good, where you can bring your money and hook up with a girl. And in the Latin, you replace this et with the vav. It's an and or a w or a u. A warrum a terry yesilius optimumist. And a warrum is a whore. It means whatever to suit that purpose. A warrum. That's where the word whore come from. Every which way you spell it, the whorum. Not just a whore, but the whore a German woman's cussing about. That little bitch in order to suit the purpose of. And the whore emitter yesilius. The whore emitter for the thing for the purpose of to emit a yes. Make her say yes. Oh yes, the emit her, and the second R is a Y-E-S. Yes, Ilias, and Ilias is too much of, too many yessin, too much yessin. It's a whore. And a whore emitter, a Yesilius. Optimist, the best whore. Optimist of the invenitor. Of he inveni brought her. And brought it where? Veni, we came. And of the in came it where? Indelium. A deli is to rub off, and indelius can't be rubbed off. Left a mark. You ain't gonna forget this one. And a lap is on each innis. That sounds like a bachelor party. And a lap is on each innis. The hormatary yesilius optimumist. Ivi invenit where indelium. A lap is on each innis. And the next time Ben comes up, it's where they call it and made the Lord God a rib which he had taken from the man into a woman and brought her to the man. But you see over here that it's got this Egyptian word for the kids, a code of mess, the house of mess. And so the word for the children and creation to build the mess is the same word. The creation of children and the creation of the house is the same. What the serpent said, hey, you can be like gods, you can create too. So this is why ben you all'em at? It's lowest sure to fuck 'em and need 'em. A nash. A nash and a little nibble. A little snack, food, a light meal snack. You might pronounce that nosh. A nosh. Some of that taco. Why vessel had 'em. The why of VES, a vessel is, someone in your kingdom under your power. Who a vessel had 'em. And in the Greek over here, it's and a code a mess, a house with children. The house is a mess, and who been the children, who the children Lord God. Who been you? And a coat of mess, the cure, the Lord of sod hosting, the Lord of dirt hosting. This is a Rio. The river is the Lord of sod. It brings fresh sod down the Nile every year. And it's the carries sod, and that's the Lord is the one who's carrying. What's he carry? What's his domain? He carries sod. And so this is the children's domain. They carry dirt all up in your house. And a coat of mess, the house of mess, Lord of sod, hosting, greets you. The Lord of dirt greets you. A fell who reign, the fell who reign. The kingdom fell to the reign of, and the N followed by the E becomes a B, a bet, B or a V. And the L followed by the A becomes an N. So this Ben here is the same here. It's Ben. Ben stone is that pyramid-shaped stone that they say fits on top of the pyramid but was never put there. And so this one looks like Ben isn't Ben. This is Ben here. And the house of mess, the Lord of sod hosting, fell who reign. The children ruling the house. Who reign have been of in. The reign have been in this time, during this time, been of in. The children reign. A pot of Wadham his Janus. That's when your kids are playing, and he's married to his sister, and she is the queen, the Janus. She is the queen of pot of Wadham, where she cooks up. A pot of Wadham his Janus. That's the name of the wife. And you see that over here, was from a need, an N-E-A-D, a needum, nosh, to need food. Which gauge in oughtn't forced on Haddam. Which a gauge in, do not engage, this is your little sister. Which a gauge in oughtn't, and they getting this lead from a gag in, a bridle. And which a gauge in oughtn't forced on Haddam. And then in the Latin, it is a vav. Same as this key here is and or a W or a V or a U. It's never pronounced E-T. It's a vav. Same as this vav here, this and. And edifice of it domin used twos. The edifice of it is the front of the building. What you see in the front. And the edifice of it dominated was the tits. It's a woman. She now has tits on the front. And edifice of it domin used to's custom. And custom is, the rib. That, hey, I can get you a woman, it's just going to cost you a rib. Except rib is an Egyptian word for a custom. And it's spelled a R-I and a B. And a R-I is a pussy. And a B is a leg. The R-I is the red mouth. It's the mouth that's down below. And the foot, the leg. And a rib is what it's going to cost you. A fair trade. You want some rib? The mouth leg? It's going to look like this. This is a R-I, the re, and the B. And it's a rib. And it's the leg mouth, the ass. That's going to cost you a rib. The cost is conveyed through a phonetic sound using the mouth and the bent leg glyphs. The custom come to lure at. And edifice of it domin used, whose custom come to lure at it. The DE or the TE, when it's just a single word, it's an it. And it had 'em in mullerum. And muli is thinking about it. And mulling. And muller him. And thinking about it. And muller him. And add which a team. A team it had 'em. Now it's a team. There's two of y'all. And add which a team it had 'em. An edifice of it domined use, whose custom come to lure at it had 'em. In muller him it add which a team it had 'em. So the next time Ben comes up, it plainly says it's the Hebrew word for sucky sucky. And sucky sucky is a worldwide word. Everywhere you go in the world, don't matter what language they speak, sucky sucky is pussy. And it's here for your husband, your desire shall be is a suck, SKTSUQT, a sucked. But this is, after they done ate of the fruit, and he's cussing the woman, and this explains what fruit was eaten. And it's a lease, ALEASE, a lease. You're renting the body, the spirit that's in the body, a lease. Rear barren, RERBEARB, a rear barren, a hot spunk. The H, the EOX, the OX is the trees, the ox. And when you're hot, you go under the trees, or hots is to take your shirt off, hots. And Elysium, rear barren, hot spunk, werence, WERNC. A K is yours, and a where is the place, and your place is the werence, in your place. And at least some rear barren hot spunk werence. Your job is be naked and in the bed. A bear be, the Barbie, a werence. A box victualed, a BOX, that's your little pussy. That little box, it's a knock box. A box victualed, the box ate a venom. The box victualed a venom. Victualed it's not necessarily eat, but VTLD is to fill. You see that on the first when it says and filled between them, and victualed a venom. And then the VA, is the DE or the TE. And the L followed by the A becomes the N. So it looks like a VAL, but it's actually a DEN or a TEN. And it's a tenage. A TENAJ is tenage is your tenants, where you're staying. And the victualed venom, a tenage, a sucked. And now you have children, tenage, living inside of you. The victualed venom, tenage, sucked, a Q. The KUE is that place, a Q, and then the VA again. The TE, cute, KUETE. The suck, cutum, a Slavic. A SLVK, Slavic, is where the word slave comes from. K is your, and SLV, the slave, your slave. And the cute, and the suck, cute, Slavic. You are the baby slave now. Not your husband shall rule over you, your kids shall rule over you. At least some rare, barren, hot spunk werence. Box victualed of in, a tenage sucked, a cutum a Slavic, a slave to your children. They were warned, don't eat from the tree that's in the middle of the garden. And so this word for the woman, the mulari, what it means is a 17-year-old boy's, what's on a 17-year-old boy's mind, what he's thinking about. Mulari, a coca dixit. The QU, a lot of times you just replace it with the VOV, the VO and the VE, or the vow, a VOW. And a mulari vow a dixit. And multiplice of is Raman as twas, and multiplied, and multiplice of is Raman as, is the daily wage, and as twas, it was, and multiplied the daily wage it was, and conceptus twos, a TWOS, the twos, and conceptus twos, the twins. Indolor repair is Phyllis, and sub very potestator is. Very is power as in young, green, healthy. You can see the base word for green in there. The verities, and young and unexperienced. And under young, potestate here is, and if's the domin of it were to. So it seemed, the first four-letter unspoken name of God, the first four-letter word was Benham or suck. It only comes up 50 times like this. Comes up, 5,000 times in this category. But it's the box of victual of venom, the box of fill of venom, tonnage suck, your tonnage, your 9 months suck. And then using Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. That's your 3 sons. Hey, meet my 3 sons. Benham Adsum will come, because Ham will come if it is Japheth, if it. And Benham Adsum will come if it, my 3 sons. And then in Genesis 10, it's a sin of venoms made. And I was looking for another word they said meant suck, and Samuel for the nurse when I run into this. So it seems like, Benham is a period of time spent, and that amount of period of time would depend on the words surrounding what it was talking about. Now I'm going to cut this off here and backtrack and see if I could find that other word they sent to mean suck. A good day.